Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host, Yeukai Kechidori.
Welcome, guys, to another very special episode. And with me today is my dear friend Riina to talk about finances in all its depth. And today we're going to be talking about a very special topic, which I think you're going to love, which is all about loans and grants. Riina, thank you so much for being on the show once again.
Thank you for having me, Yeukai. What an honor.
Incredible. Now, Riina worked with James Caan, the ex-Dragon Den investor, a true entrepreneur at heart. Together, they would invest in startups and small businesses and nurture them to adulthood. She worked as a non-executive director on the board of 14 of his investment. Riina worked on different portfolios, among which include financing, the cash flow, growth, turnaround, and many, many other aspects of James Caan's business. Riina, once again, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. We are thrilled that you could spend some time with us here today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Now, for those who are wondering who is Riina and maybe didn't get as much out of what I've just said there, would you just give us a very brief background of how you ended up helping business owners with accounts and taxes?
Thank you, Yeukai. Yes, my name is Riina Trkulja, Trkulja, and indeed I run accountsassistants.co.uk, which is an advisory and accountancy business which helps small businesses. And my aim is to work with the business, listen to them, and work also with their circumstances. So not just to do their taxes or their accounts or their bookkeeping, but actually help them grow, because that's where my strength lies and that's where my background is. I've been trained in PwC and by James Caan. I really have been trained by the best, and I can't wait to pass that knowledge on to my clients and the SMEs who are willing to work with me.
Outstanding. Now, if you've been wondering, is there any hope for you during this very difficult time, and how can you get grants or loan? Well, stay tuned, because Riina is going to show you some interesting stuff that you could try out right now. Now, Riina, I know from our previous conversation, you shared with me that there are resources out there today to help small businesses. Can we start talking about the loans for those who may not be aware of them?
Absolutely. There certainly is help available. And I would like to go through what's available for small businesses. Even if you're just a startup, few months old, you have help available. As long as you have a good idea and appetite for business, you can do it. So without further ado, if you don't mind, I'm just going to give a little introduction to ask what's the difference between loans and grants. And then I'm going to carry on about what options are available for SMEs. Is that okay?
That's perfect.
So loans are repayable. And if you take a loan out of from a bank or loaning institution, then you will have to pay it back. However, grants are something that you do not have to pay back. However, they will be treated like your other income and form part of your taxable profits. So the most common thing I get asked by my clients is when they are at the very, very early stage of the business and have been unable to obtain loan financing from traditional banks, what are the other options available for them? And there is such thing as startup loans. It is startuploans.co.uk. It's their website where you can find lots of information about it. But the key is that you can get between 500 and 25,000, and it is government-supported scheme. And the interest rate is 6% per annum, which is honestly not the cheapest. But considering if you are a startup, then that is pretty good. And you will have to pass through a credit check, so personal credit check. And then if you pass the credit check, they will ask you to submit a business plan, cash flow forecast, and personal survival budget. Now, I have worked with quite a few clients who are on their way applying startup loans, and I always review my clients' business plans to make sure there are no errors and any areas that they could potentially be challenged on. Because once we have spoken through these areas where they could potentially be challenged on, then they stand higher chance of actually getting the loan and addressing these particular risky points. Awesome. So that is definitely one area that an absolute startup that's less than 24 months old should look at. And I would strongly recommend that you work with your accountant or with your advisor, or even if it's just a family friend, somebody who will look over your numbers and challenge you so that you are absolutely ready to go and pitch your business. Of course, another one. Sorry, Yeukai?
Yes. Before moving on, what are some of the risk areas that anyone who's preparing for these particular loans need to pay particular attention to?
Well, the key thing is unique selling point. Right. So if you are setting up a business where there are lots of other businesses already on the market, that's totally okay. Not every business has to be new and innovative and brand new product. But you have to find your unique selling point. Why is it that it's you that's going to be successful? Because in the end of the day, whoever is going to lend you the money wants to make sure you are able to pay it back. Yes. They don't want to take all of the risk. They want to see you also to take some of the risk. So you have to really know your client and know your competitors as well, really well. Awesome. And that's where you stand a much higher chance of succeeding, if you can demonstrate that.
Perfect.
If we move on now, obviously everyone has heard about bounce back loans. Just to quickly, this is the best loan on the market in terms of the terms. So first 12 months, you do not have to pay anything. And then after that, the interest rate is only 2.5%. So it's very low. But there are issues in people being able to get hold of bounce back loans these days. Some of the banks, like Tide, have actually stopped giving them out because the demand was too high. And then I know a lot of small businesses bank with Starling, which are those disruptor banks. They also have problems and they need to invite you to apply. So you may need to be having to wait quite a long time before you're able to apply for bounce back loan through Starling Bank. So what I would say is, if you want to try to apply for bounce back loan, try HSBC. It is the only bank that is willing to give it to you, even if you do not have a business account with them. All the other high street banks require you to have a business account with them, and sometimes it can take weeks or even months to open a business account with high street banks. So you might run out of time. Bounce back loan scheme will end on 4th of November 2020. So you literally have a month and a half. The terms are your turnover has to be between 8,000 and 200,000, and you can borrow 25% of your turnover up to 50,000. There is also Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan Scheme, which is CBILS in short. That will expire on 30th of September. After 30th of September, you cannot no longer apply for it. And it is for businesses whose turnover is more than 200,000. What has become super common, though, recently is peer-to-peer lending. And that has really increased popularity over the last few years. It is something, it's run through a platform where investors put up their money. And then on the other hand, there are people like you and your customers, small businesses, who need the money. Mm-hmm. Now, the investors obviously take the risk of lending the money, but they all put small amounts. And it works out actually cheaper than some of the traditional financing through the banks. Right. For example, very common platform for this is fundingcircle.com. And I will give Yeukai all those websites that I mentioned throughout this podcast. So he will put it in the podcast notes. And I will also publish them on my website, accountsassistance.co.uk. But yeah, coming back to this, peer-to-peer lending is something that's definitely worth looking at. For example, Funding Circle will charge you 3.9% fee, and the interest starts from 1.8%. So altogether, the minimum you pay is 5.7%, which is actually not too bad. There are other peer-to-peer platforms as well, like RateSetter and so on, but they are more for personal loans and property and car finances, these kind of things. If you happen to be somebody who takes money with debit and credit cards from your customers, for example, barbers, restaurants, shops, retailers, beauty salons, the business cash advance could be one of the options for you. And let me tell you a little bit about what it is. Basically, you can get 2,500 to 300,000 business cash advance from platforms like Libraries. It's spelled liberis.co.uk. And what they do, they require people who, they will only work with you if you have 2,500 a month going through your credit or debit card payments or more. And you have been trading more than 4 months, which most businesses would be. So, and what you can do is they agree a fixed fee. So, for example, if you borrow £10,000, they may agree, okay, your cost of financing is £1,400. That's 14% flat rate. So it is quite expensive, but it is fixed. And the key thing about this is it's very good in this kind of environment because they only take a percentage of your daily takings. So, for example, an average customer would pay 11% of their daily takings back to Libraries until the loan is fully paid together with the cost of financing. But if your takings go down, for example, one day you might take £1,000 and another day you might take £2,000, the money that you pay back to Libraries will always be a percentage of your daily takings.
Right.
So if there are days where you do not get any money at all, you do not have to pay anything.
Oh,
And that's
good.
the beauty of it. So it might take even a few years to get payment to pay it back, but in current circumstances, that could be quite good option for few retailers and barbers.
Absolutely.
Now knowing that CBILS and bounce back scheme are coming to an end shortly, and they are very, very difficult to get, I actually read from somewhere that government may come up with another government-backed scheme. And that actually enterprise finance guarantee, which is what it's officially called, which is basically government backs your loans, is not new. It was introduced in 2009. And back then, government guaranteed 75% of the debt. With CBILS, government guaranteed 80% of the debt.
Right.
So therefore lowering the risk for the lender. And what my understanding is, in August this year, British Business Bank, which is the government-run organisation funding small businesses, has not ruled out the possibility that some form of the enterprise guarantee scheme will replace the coronavirus business interruption loan scheme. So watch this space. That might be the option for you if you miss out in CBILS or bounce back loan. Quick note of other types of borrowing. Obviously, there is overdraft, but you have to be a client of that particular bank.
Yeah.
There is invoice financing and factoring. Now, invoice financing and factoring is where you sell your debtor book to the bank, and they will give you 80 to 90% of the debtor book. Debtors are the clients who owe you money. And instead of waiting until they pay you, you go to the bank and say, okay, I have, let's say, 1 million outstanding. The bank says, okay, that means I can give you 800,000.
Yeah.
Or you have 100,000 outstanding, bank can give you 80,000. And you draw it down. It works as a drawdown. You don't have to take all the money in one go and pay interest in the full amount. You just take, let's say today you need 5,000 to pay somebody's salary. That's all you take. That's all you pay interest on. However, what I would say is credit control discipline is still crucial. It's better always because it's essentially your money anyway that they are lending you. They're just giving it to you before your clients pay you. So it is something that I always advocate with my clients is credit control discipline and how to get your money faster from your clients rather than go to the bank and borrow against it. And of course, there are leases and hire purchase, which is basically guaranteed against the asset you buy. So if you want to buy a car or a van for your business, then you can do it on lease and hire purchase, and the guarantee would be just that asset. So that should be relatively easy to get if you have a decent credit rating. A very popular thing in recent times is crowdfunding. Yeah. What I would say about crowdfunding is it works better with businesses that sell products that general public can relate to. So if you're establishing a business that is a product-based, for example, a drink or some cool product or cool clothing, people can relate to it. You go to crowdfunding websites and they can see, oh, I really like these kind of designs, or I like this drink, or I like this idea. People can relate to it. It is less successful for business-to-business type funding. Yeah. So what I would suggest that you would thoroughly research the crowdfunding platforms before you go down that route. Some platforms allow you, so for example, you set the target. Typically you would set the target, say you want to raise 30,000. And if you raise, for example, 25,000, some platforms allow you to take the 25,000. Yeah. However, other platforms are total win or lose. So unless you raise the full target amount, you're not allowed to take any of it. So you have to just read the terms and conditions carefully, and also what is that you give in return for the crowdfunding. Is it product? Is it equity, shares? So these are the other things to look into. Another good website actually to look into is betterbusinessfinance.co.uk. That is basically, essentially it's a broker. And it works well if you just need general lending. You put in all your details and the broker will match you with over 200 lenders whose circumstances match yours. Right. So you don't have to go to 50 different banks and ask for this and ask for that. This website, Better Business Finance, does it all for you and matches you according to your circumstances. Now, one thing I want to warn people about, if you go down to traditional lending rather than bounce back loan, with the exception of CBILS and bounce back loan, most lenders require personal guarantees. Yeah. Watch out for these terms. Personal guarantee, often referred to as PG. And a lot of them also include your personal private residence, meaning if your business cannot pay back the loan, you personally become responsible for the loan. And if you cannot pay it back, the worst come worst, they can actually take your house. So you have to really read these terms and conditions and negotiate as hard as you can. Believe me, it's possible to negotiate. But this is just one of those things that you should look out for. Good. Okay, I'm going to move on to grants quickly. Awesome. Before we run out of time, just wanted to tell you there are lots and lots of grants available. However, they are very often sector-specific, project-specific, or location-specific. Right. So the best thing to do is to go to gov.uk website /business finance support. Very good website. You go there, there is a tick box where you click grants. 80 different grants will come up. And you can just go through and see if any of them would be applicable. You can already tell by the title because they say, this is just for West Midlands, this is just for Manchester, this is for this is just for railways, this is just for health businesses. So if you go through what's on that government page, you will find a lot of useful information. It's impossible for me to go through them all here. Yeah. And also, Mayor of London does a lot of funding as well. So if you go to london.gov.uk, what we do funding, what we do /funding, there are some schemes there that might be of interest to some of your listeners. Another really good resource is a local growth hub. Okay, the website for Growth Hub is lepnetwork.net, and there is a map of the United Kingdom. And again, you can go to your local Growth Hub, which is wherever you're based, either Birmingham or Bristol or London, and you see the grants available in your local area. And these grants could be even put up by the businesses to businesses in that area. Mm-hmm. So definitely something worth looking at. Today, I also actually spoke to somebody in London, because I am based in London, so in local growth hub in London, and I queried about professional services grant. Professional services grant is £1,000 to £5,000, help to design to recover small businesses from the impact of coronavirus, and this can be used towards HR, accountants, finance, legal, IT, and digital services. So very good. Even if, for example, you needed accountancy advice or legal advice or marketing advice, digital marketing advice, this grant would be for you. However, what they said, once they opened the grant, it ran out in 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, they had to close the website because they had too many applicants. Wow. What they suggested me to do is you go to your local growth hub, you sign up to their newsletters, they will open it again. Once they open it again, they will send you a notification and then be quick to apply.
Wow.
Okay. I want to mention a couple of really interesting grants that I have come across actually while doing a little bit of research. There is a social media company called FanBytes, okay? And they have pledged 100,000 towards campaign for Black-owned businesses and by Black creators. So they have called it the FanBytes Impact Program, and it is set up to back Black-owned consumer-focused businesses, turning over up to 15,000 monthly revenue. So the reason why they have done it is they feel that there is a pay gap between the Black and other colored non-Black influencers. And they clearly feel very passionate about this. And they are offering up to £5,000 towards creating, managing, and running influencer marketing campaign. I can't tell you, I stress enough, if you can get free marketing, go for it, apply for it, because that is one of the key drivers to your business success. So fanbytes.co.uk, FanBytes Fund, okay? If you happen to be in media and entertainment business, however, there is something for you by ITV. They have set up Studio 55 Ventures, which is essentially set up by ITV, and looking for next media landscape game changer. So if you have amazing idea that's in media or entertainment, for example, it could be streaming platform, e-sport app, or even next TikTok, get in touch with them. They are accepting applications now, and they will teach you how to develop your concept into powerful business model and launch it into the world. Wow. Not just to your local area, to the world. Mm-hmm. And successful teams will be given the full backing to turn the prototype into fully scaled business within ITV, including salary, funding, support, and generous bonuses. And if you are a sort of innovative type and you are in technology, for example, technology firm, or you're creating a completely new product, definitely go to gov.uk, Innovate UK website. There are 22 grants available for innovative businesses, and it is the total budget is 6 billion. That will be across all of the grants, and it's funded by 7 research councils. So Innovate UK is if you are innovating and coming up with something new. So one of the examples from there, what I found from there is very interesting, Women in Innovation Award, which will give women who win this award £50,000 of funding. They could be in arts, design, media, creative industries, science, engineering. Just have to be a female founder and at least 12 months in business. Wow. So definitely check that out, because it could be something that is applicable to you. One of the things that is overlooked often, and as an accountant I find that, is research and development tax credits. So there is a tax rebate that you can claim, and if you're making losses, then you just can carry forward that loss. If you are a business that qualifies, so there is a whole list of qualifying criteria, but basically they are asking for somebody who has made advance in science and technology, has overcome uncertainty or tried to overcome uncertainty. Okay, so one example that would be relevant I would bring is people who have pivoted their business to start making face masks, hand sanitizers, and ventilators. They may have had manufacturing beforehand to do something else, for example, gin, alcohol producers. But if they started making hand sanitizers, they could potentially be eligible for the grant.
Right.
So it is something worth looking into. Definitely use your accountant to apply for the grant, because it is actually quite technical. How you have to write a technical paper, and there is a process to it. However, once you get approved, you can get the money really quickly. Wow. So they don't take ages and ages to pay it out. They have been paying those out in record times. So definitely something worth looking into. Speak to your accountant, do some research, see if you're eligible. You can even get the pre-approval by HMRC. And one thing I wanted to also mention, which is not actually financing, but is an accelerator. If you are launching a new tech product, or you have a tech idea, there is a website called startupboost.org, and they run 2 cohorts per year in spring and autumn, and they connect startups with top accelerators, seed investors, industry partners. They will teach you how to do it, and they teach you how to succeed. They will give you access to global alumni of people where you can be connected and ask just mentorship and colleagues. And you have ongoing support, contacts, and mentorship. They don't charge a fee, and they do not take equity.
Wow.
So that's pretty amazing. So if you are a tech firm in your early days, definitely worth applying. Now, this is not a quick thing. They only accept applications twice a year. Next cohort is happening 28th of September. I think applications for that are already closed. However, you can sign up for spring applications and see if you stand a chance. Because to get that kind of support and connections are really, it's not just about money in business. So connections are everything. And if you can get good connections through that kind of accelerator, it will be amazing for your business. It will take it to a whole new level. Now, quickly wanted to cover equity financing as well. There are obviously 1,000 ways to do equity financing, either venture capitalists, angel investors, private equity investors, depending on the size of the business. It's basically a partnership where somebody will come and buy shares in your business, will give you money for it, but also will sit on your board and help you run the business and give you advice and mentorship.
Right.
Another really interesting website I came across, thanks to James actually, my ex-boss James, is myvintro.com. That's where, if you have a specific investor in mind, you can go to that website and see if that investor is there. Basically, it lists all the investors who have signed up with myvintro.com, and you can directly apply to that angel investor directly, and you are guaranteed to get feedback. Even if it's negative, you are guaranteed feedback. However, it costs money. So every investor has set a price. So some investors charge $300, some charge $2,500 to apply, and some charge $10,000 to apply. So obviously, it is your call. If you find your favorite investor there on the platform and you feel like connecting with them, you have to pay, but you are guaranteed the feedback. And that feedback would be absolutely valuable for you.
Absolutely.
So just quickly closing note, what do you need to do to be successful with your application in equity financing and loan financing? You absolutely benefit from always having a credible and experienced management team. Make sure you surround yourself with advisors and people who give you good advice and have some experience, especially in your area. Make sure your accounts are up to date and accurate. How many times I have come across, when I used to work for investors of same stuff, I have come across accounts, they don't even add up. They are not even accurate. They are wrong. Management is unable to talk through them. That just eats into your credibility. So these are easy things to fix. So make sure your accounts are in order, they are accurate and correctly prepared, and you can explain and talk to them. Always have a business plan and cash flow forecast, so you know where you're going and when you're getting the money in. And of course, the key thing is you have to have absolutely excellent understanding of your market, of your competitors, and of your clients. So you need to know what your clients are up to. What do they actually want? What do they do? How do they work? How do they use your product? And competitors, how do you stand out? What is your unique selling point? It's all about execution. Good luck.
That was amazing. Truly a lot of great information there that you've shared with us, Riina. Absolutely wonderful. Now, where can people learn from you for those who want to carry on their learning?
I have a website called accountsassistance.co.uk. I publish several of my blogs there. I will list all these websites that I mentioned today there as well as Yeukai will mention them on his podcast notes. And just visit me on my website, give me a call. I want to hear about your business. And what I want to say is right now is a very, very scary time because government is talking about lockdown again. We don't know what's going to happen. But there is a lot of opportunity out there. Be led by opportunity, not by fear.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yeukai.businessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.